detailing, detail components. So we've been looking at this top detail here. It's a callout, and we've been looking at that for the last few minutes, and we've drawn a filled region. Let's zoom into it. Drawn in a filled region, which is the top portion of the roof. We have this whole part right here we did as a masking region, and maybe we want to show the plates up on the top of this right here. So we want to bring in maybe 2x6 or 2x4. So we can bring in both of those components as detail components. Okay, before we bring in a detail component, what we need to do is activate the view. Okay, now that that's activated, we can bring in some detail components. And this is under detail. And right there is the component. And you have either repeating detail components or just single ones. We're just going to concentrate on the single ones, detail component. We can click on that. Now it just wants to bring in this I-beam. Is that what we want? No. Let's go to load family. Where do we find the ones we want? Well, let's take a look over here. There's actually two ways to it. First one is just a shortcut right down at the very bottom on mine is Imperial Detail Library. Let's just see where that is though, in terms of folders. If I were to just drop that down, detail components, you'll see it. It is under Revit Architecture 2011, Imperial Library, just right under that shortcut. And then detail components, it's all right there. These are 2D AIA-based components of almost anything, okay? If you have steel sections, wood sections, if you have fasteners, if you have plumbing, electrical, earthwork, everything is right here. Let's go to wood and plastic. Let's go to wood framing. Let's go to nominal cut lumber section. And you can pick different, like this is the side of it, this is the top, and then that's the section. So you can open that up. So you can really build up a complete 2D. You could draw everything in 2D if you really wanted to in Revit, but you don't. So what we're doing here is we're augmenting what we've done with some 2D details. For instance, for something like this addition, we don't draw every stick, every piece of wood that's going to be put in here at this point. There are modules that allow you to do that, but it's not something that we normally are going to get paid for. Even if we did do a full framing plan, chances are whoever's going to be framing it is going to have their own opinions on how this thing goes together. So right now we're showing some intent. So let's go and do that. We're going to just say 2x4, and you'll notice they're all the correct sizing. 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, 2x12. We can bring in a bunch of them. And they even have some of the odd sizes there as well. So you just say OK, and make sure you bring that into your view. Now I'm just going to click there. Let's hit escape. First thing I want to show you about these, they're too thick. Let's fix that first. So let's go into VV. Let's go into detail items. Let's expand that out. Notice it says heavy lines. So what it considers to be heavy lines, we need to change that. Let's override it. And let's say the weight is down to 3. Let's say OK and OK. Now it looks a little bit more down to earth instead of being this very, very thick line. Of course, you can leave it if you want. So I can click on that nominal piece of lumber. It's a 2x4. I can flip it. I'm just using the space bar to flip. Remember that trick from our previous videos. We can also swap that out for a 2x6 or whatever size we want. So then we can use our move tool and just use our snaps that into place. Of course, you can turn the detail lines off so things are a little bit more right on. Let's change that to a, let's go 2x4. And then let's just copy it above. Okay, we'll take both of these and we can move them right up to there. I'm going to turn the thin lines on again. But you can see here how they're on top of the masking region. That's a factor of the draw order. That could change, so you have to be aware of that. If I click on this right here, I could say bring to front, and now that's going to be on top of this. So you have to just work with that a little bit. I'm going to use the control key, pick both of those, and it's not giving me the draw order. Let's try that again. I'll click on it. I'll just do one and I'll say bring that to front. So we're kind of fighting with these a little bit. So we're bringing those to the front. Now that's an example of a simple detail item. There are lots of examples. If I click on component, we can just look at a few of them. Okay, so if we just go back in here to the Imperial Detail Library, if you go under Metals and you go under Steel Framing, Structural Steel Framing, you've got all of your sizes and shapes, and then within those, you have the complete listings of all the different types. Now, it is true in Revit you want to model as much structure as you can, but these can be a real help when you're working with this. I'll show you maybe a couple more and then we'll move on. Now, before we go, let's just click on that piece right there. That was supposed to be the sheathing on top. Let's just bring that to the front. So let's go to Component, Load Family. Let's go to Imperial Detail Components. Let's go to Wood and Plastic. Let's go to Sheathing. And look at this. We've got plywood sections. Let's just open that up. Now, what can you do with this? I could just draw that in. I'm just drawing that on top. Then I hit Escape twice to get out of it. So that whole object is actually a detail item, but you can see it's based upon a line. They have that for gypsum wallboard. And then, of course, you're not stuck with just 3/4 inch. You can go down to 1/2 inch. So I'm showing you a couple different ways to approach this. Now, what about insulation? How do we handle that? Well, right here, there's an insulation tool. You can click on insulation, give the insulation the size that you want it to be. Perhaps we want a minimum of 6 inches of insulation. And then it's just a matter of drawing it. So I could start here and I could draw up. It's going to pick up on my angle. And there it is. And you can click on this, change its direction, change its width on the fly. Great tool for this. Now I might want to draw just a little bit in here too. Let's go to insulation and let's go to 3.5 inches. Just draw it from there down to there. There's not much room, which may want to change the size of the window or lower it down depending. Now there's other little things we want to do to finish off this. Maybe you just want to draw a line. How do you do that? Well, we'll look at that in another video.